So I'm going to show you now what the components are for your basic ground stack using a Stingray, a ground conversion kit and an insulated cabin. First thing we're going to do is set our Stingray out on the ground with the corners pointing to the trees that we're going to use. Now with your trees chosen and your Stingray laid out, you just set up the Stingray as usual. Now you've got your Stingray up, time to put the ground sheet underneath, just roughly, so that when we put the insulated cabin in, we can put that inside the footprint. Okay. Bring in the insulated cabin and put it on the ground sheet and open the carry bag. Pop the clip strap and lay it out. Okay. The insulated cabin's got a number of windows all the way around, and you'll know that you've placed it the right way up if the flat and straight line is pointing upwards, and then you've got the curved corners on the down side. So that's how to orientate it, make sure it's the right way up. The first thing to do is start in one corner, and you'll see that it doesn't have a pointed end, so it doesn't come to the very corner of the ground sheet. It's chamfered, so it will finish around here. So we're going to get that chamfered corner denoted by the black vertical webbing binding lines, and we're going to take the strap that's on both sides of that corner, elongate it so we've got plenty of room, and we're going to pass this strap through the D-ring and then back towards its counterpart clip. And clip it into position. So once the corner strap is in place, the next thing is the next strap and buckle. This one goes over the tent and clips and tightens. And then as we go down each side, you'll find that there's a toggle that corresponds to all the loops on the underside of your Stingray. The first two correspond with the underfloor storage nets, and the central one will correspond to the center loop. So thread it through, twist it so it locks, and continue down the side. Again, you take that corner one through the D-ring and back to its corresponding buckle. Now we're going to attach the insulated cabin to the ground sheet to hold it all in place at ground level. The ground sheet's already got a bungee loop coming out here, so we'll get the same corner strap that we have at the top, and we'll take a loop and feed it through the corner of the ground sheet where there's an opening. And then we can peg out both loops together into the ground to secure its position. So if you do it with the wings facing perpendicular to the tent, then that will catch the strap. You bring the strap back towards the buckle and you can cinch that into place. Not too tight because we've got to do the same things on the other two corners. To bring up the sides of the ground sheet, just to give it that bathtub effect, just make sure that all the straps are in, and then the side of the bathtub you'll see an elasticated webbing strap which will go and clip into a corresponding buckle on the other corner. Pull that up, and we'll do that on each of the sides just to bring those walls up. The last thing we're going to do is take the bungee loops with S-hooks and secure the corners of the hatch to the level above. So to do that, we're going to open the hatch above me and thread the S-hook through the loop, the seatbelt loop in the corner of the hatch above. And you can put it through itself and then pull it towards the loop that there is on the outside, top side of the insulated cabin in each corner. Now the last thing to do is get the rain fly on top of the Stingray in the normal way. You can use the Stingray setup video to show the details on how to do that. So now you've got your insulated cabin set up under your Stingray, but of course, if there's hard driving sideways rain, we're going to want extra rain protection or wind protection, and you might even want more thermal protection. So for that, you'll want a double bubble to give you extra thermal protection, and a triple wall pack, which is new for 22 as well, which are 3 walls which will stake out and they zip down the corners to create a full lock seal. At one of the corners of the insulated cabin, you've got a full length opening door, and that's your entrance and exit when you're using it at ground level. And the door has its own window and own air vents at the top and bottom, and the windows on all sides, and they've got a separate insect mesh, so you can have the internal insulation rolled up, giving you light but insect-proof protection, or you can roll up the insect mesh also, giving you full ventilation and airflow. Now I'm going to show you how to set up a classic insulated cabin stack. So we've already got our Trillium set up at about 4 feet. We've got our Stingray set up at 4 feet above that. And before I get the insulated cabin out, which is going to go between these two layers, we're going to talk about the stack support straps. 3 of these come as standard with every insulated cabin. And what they do is they keep the distance between the 2 levels constant, no matter if the lower level has got load on it and the top level doesn't. So the first thing to do is just show you that there's an adjuster buckle at about a 1/3 way point, and we're going to have the tail of that pointing down so it's easy to adjust from ground level. And then we're going to just take that carabiner and attach it to the top level D-ring, and it should hang directly above the lower level D-ring, which I'm going to then carabiner that to and cinch that tight. And now the 2 levels are firmly connected. So this is the insulated cabin. It comes in its own carry bag. I've put it up on the Trillium level. Now I'm going to climb up, and the first thing to do is take your shoes off. And then we're going to lay out that cabin on the Trillium level, making sure it's the right way up. So the first thing to do when we get the insulated cabin out of its bag is to make sure that it's orientated the right way up. And the way to do that is find one of its windows, and when we found a window, we know that the windows are going to have their curved edge facing downwards, and the straight edge is the top edge. So this is the right way up. So we've got one of the corners of the insulated cabin, and we're going to take the long strap, making sure we've got just enough on the end that we can take hold of. We're going to take that, we're going to pass it through the D-ring, pulling the cabin towards us, and that cabin is then going to come up, and that clip is going to go into the end of the buckle. And then just behind that is another strap which goes over the Stingray and clips into place like that. Then we've got a whole bunch of toggles which are going to go into the corresponding loops on the underside of that Stingray. So I'm going to just work my way along one side at a time. As I'm coming along the last side, I find myself on the outside of the cabin. You can either use a ladder to do this, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door to the Stingray so that I've got something to hold on to as I come along this edge while I'm doing the last few toggles. So if you find that the toggles and the loops aren't matching up completely, so your toggle is over here and you're trying to get into loops here, it's because your strap that goes to the D-ring is too tight at the other end. So you go back, loosen it a little bit, and then any slack, once you've got to the far end, you can just pull out of the D-ring strap. Now we've got a full tight seal. I'm going to come back down and we're going to do the lower edge. Now we've got the stack support straps in place and we've done all of the top side. We're going to secure the bottom side. So again, we're going to go for the corner straps and thread them through the D-ring and back to the buckle. Now I'm not going to cinch this one completely tight because I need to go around all of the other corners and make sure that they're in the right place. We don't want that one too tight. And we take the second strap under the Trillium and clip that in place. And we do that on all three corners. Once we've done all the corner straps, we can find the toggles and the corresponding loops on that Trillium and just secure those in place so you can't fall off the edge of the Trillium from inside the cabin. And do that on all three sides. Now that we've got the insulated cabin up in classic stack mode between a Trillium and a Stingray, I'm going to show you how to add an extra layer of insulation. And the best way of doing that is to capture another layer of air in between the outside and the cabin itself. And the way we're going to do that is by using a double bubble. So I'm now going to show you how to put a double bubble up on the outside face of an insulated cabin to add an extra layer of insulation. So the first thing to do is locate one of the corners of the double bubble. And this is a corner with a zip in it. I'm going to keep that for the corner with the door in. So I'm going to find the next corner along. And there it is. So this is one of the corners. You can tell by having a clip and adjuster buckle. And this is the top side because the lower edge has got a zip, which usually can then zip to a ground conversion kit. So we know this is the top side. We're going to put this up there. But first, we have to get the whole double bubble around the insulated cabin like a skirt. And the way to do that is we're going to unclip the buckles from the underside and from the D-ring. And we're going to lay that corner the right way up on top of that corner here. And we're going to walk the sides under the insulated cabin so that we're going to make a skirt all the way around it. The best way to make sure that the double bubble doesn't move around when you are going around making the skirt is by clipping it to one of the corners as you would normally and cinching that tight. And then you can follow that zip line all the way down the edge. There'll be a toggle at the midpoint which will correspond to a loop on the underside of your Trillium or Stingray. So use that, lock it in place and keep going around using the zip edge as a guide, because this is the lower edge that we are using. Until you come to the next corner. Use the clip bracelet again and cinch into place. And continue around each side. Now I've gone around the whole lower edge and I've clipped the adjuster buckle bracelets around each corner of the Trillium. I'm going to take the top corners up to the next level and clip those in place also. So it just goes around the corner and then cinch it tight. And then you've got elasticated webbing straps about 18 inches or 40 centimeters in from those corners, and those just clip to the corresponding buckles. And then I'm going to cinch that tight to create a good seal over the top of the Stingray. And I'm going to do that in every corner. You'll also find that at the midpoints there are loops, again, that correspond to those toggles on the tent. So I'm going to put those in place. And then round to the next corner. Find that elasticated webbing strap that goes over the tent, and clip it in, and then the corner, just a buckle bracelet right in the corner there by the D-ring. So because we undid the lower corners of the insulated cabin, we now need to put those back together. So through the D-ring, through the corner of the insect, the double bubble insect mesh, and back to its corresponding clip buckle there. And then underneath again, we'll take the insulated cabin underfloor straps, bring them together, and the double bubble elasticated straps, just going to elongate that slightly, and bring those together, and then that's a complete seal at each corner. Now we've got the double bubble set up outside the insulated cabin in classic stack mode, which gives that second layer of air insulation between the outside and the inside. Now I'm going to stick the triple wall pack on the outside and show you how to make this completely weather tight. So now we've got a classic insulated cabin stack with a Trillium, Stingray, insulated cabin, double bubble, walls, rainfly. Bring all the bungees down to that last peg. Make sure it's in properly, fully weather sealed. Here you can see an ultimate insulated stack. So you've got an insulated cabin at the bottom, you've got an insulated cabin at first floor level behind these walls, and a Stingray at the top with the triple pack walls giving full weather protection to the sides. You could also put another set of triple pack walls at first floor level which would come out underneath these ones and peg to the floor. So the insulated ultimate stack.